Mirror's Edge is a game that was released in 2008 to mostly positive reviews. I played this game on launch and, despite its flaws, I loved it. In this series I will be breaking the game down level by level in order to find what the game does well and what it does wrong. At the end I'll make some suggestions on how to fix these things for Mirror's Edge too. So without further stalling, let's begin. Let's start with, well, the start of the game. The tutorial for this game is actually pretty good. It introduces the basic mechanics of the game to the player without taking too much control away from them, but without overwhelming them either. It strikes a nice balance between two extremes that games normally resort to. They typically either overwhelm the player with a wealth of information, or take too much control away from them and end up frustrating the player. On top of that, you can skip it if you want. You really couldn't ask for anything better. After the short tutorial level, the game gets underway and you're thrown into what I consider one of the best levels in the game. One thing you'll notice right off the bat is the art style. It looks absolutely brilliant. All the bright colors go very well together, and the use of the color red to guide the player is a very cool way of making the player feel as though they have some agency, while still directing them down the path the developers want them to go. It makes levels feel a lot more open and dynamic than they would if the game just had an arrow at the top of the screen that said where to go. Overall, it makes the game look distinct. Another thing you'll notice pretty fast is the sense of speed and momentum the game provides you with. You see the wind rushing past your face, and you can actually see Faith's hands and legs while she's moving. It all looks and feels very natural. So after giving you a short while to get used to the controls, the game throws some enemies at you. Unlike enemies in most games though, you can't fight back, and must instead run away. This is when all the visual and mechanical elements of the game come together in a way that's almost beautiful. You can feel Faith's momentum and imagine the bullets whizzing by just inches over your head, all while the game subtly guides you with the color red. Once again, it all feels very natural. You come into contact with only two enemies that you have to fight, but since there are only two, it still feels very natural. After that, you watch a short cutscene and then run away from a few more enemies before jumping onto a helicopter. I would also like to point out a small detail the developer added. During the cutscene, you see that this board right here is highlighted in red, so that you know Faith has already planned a route off the rooftop. You never played the level past this point, so it was completely unnecessary, but I enjoy little details like that regardless. So ends the first level of Mirror's Edge. It starts off very strong and leaves a great first impression on the player. It focuses on what it does best, running. So will it be able to keep its priorities focused? Well, that's another matter entirely.